What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I've got two videos for you today, as well as I'm hoping to do some live streaming of Cyberpunk 2077. Looking forward to getting my second play session in. So if you haven't followed me on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Quartering, I may also stream it here on YouTube. I'm not totally sure, but interesting news today as the games industry has actually turned on their darling title, The Last of Us 2, for, believe it or not, some of these journalists actually displayed a tiny shred of credibility and moral continuity. These are the same people that have been whining endlessly about crunch, but also getting deep down on their knees to gobble the cone that is The Last of Us 2. Now, whether or not you like the game, that's a personal opinion. But the idea that this game wasn't wildly divisive is inarguable. The idea that it didn't sell extraordinarily well is also inarguable. So it does make for a contentious victory. That said, you know another way you can win before the end of 2020 is by making sure your computer and mobile devices are secure and safe by using a VPN. Check out this amazing offer. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Private Internet Access. In current year, basically everyone should be using a VPN. What is a VPN? Well, it stands for a virtual private network. With Private Internet Access, all of your traffic goes through a secure VPN tunnel, your IP address is hidden, and your data is encrypted. Private Internet Access is available for all platforms: Windows, Mac OS, Android, iOS, and many others. They have a strict no-logs policy. You can use one subscription to protect up to 10 devices at a time. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And Private Internet Access has given me their best deal ever. Just $2.08 a month plus 2 months free, which is 83% off. And reviewers love Private Internet Access. CNET rated it as, quote, spectacular, and it got PC Mag's Editor's Choice Award for the past 5 years. You can access geo-restricted content from websites, YouTube included, social media networks, find better deals online, play games blocked in your region, and protect your identity by keeping your data encrypted. Pick up this awesome offer available just to my subscribers. It's located in the pinned comment below as well as the description. Start protecting yourself today. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Look, you don't have to use the VPN that I do, but if you don't have one, this is an amazing deal, and Private Internet Access is super solid. I've been using it for months now and I'm very satisfied. Now, we've seen a couple of articles come out. Eric Kane, which is a very solid writer from Forbes, putting, of course, The Last of Us Part 2 won Game of the Year, whether or not it deserved it. Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2 is one of those video games that's pretty much destined to win Game of the Year, whether or not it deserves to win the award. There's so much heft, so much gravitas, and an industry-wide groupthink with this sort of game. People say it's super deep, and so it is. People say it's a masterpiece, so it becomes the critical darling, swept up in a wave of praise. It ticks all the right boxes, all the right people, to point where saying it's not the best game of the year is almost verboten. It makes you one of them. You know the type. Those neckbeard basement dwelling types who rail against SJWs and think women have no place in video games. Wait a minute. Eric, if you don't get in line and act like The Last of Us 2 isn't basically Schindler's List or something. Oh, okay. You become one of them. And if you don't like it, on the other hand, you're probably if you do like it, you're probably a social justice warrior, or the very worst, Stripe, or so the endless tired internet outrage warriors tell us, with us against us. Or with us or against us, am I right? No, actually, I think that you probably could easily love The Last of Us 2 if you're a normie, if you never played the first one, or if you weren't invested in the story. Not everyone plays video games for the, deep, compelling story. So obviously, there's a lot going on. They write, I'm not sure I'd classify it Naughty Dog's ultra spicy, ultra bleak, ultra dark revenge fantasy focused on two white chicks who want to end each other as woke, exactly, though it seems as much as woke as has embraced it as such. Sorry, if anything, Kotaku's review put it, the game's diversity, which I appreciated at the beginning, just felt like equal opportunity for different kinds of people to suffer as the game went on. They make you end a dog, man. A dog. But it really isn't about what the game does so much as how it's interpreted by both, quote, sides of this stupid political and ideological divide we find ourselves in. There's a trans character in The Last of Us Part 2, which for one side makes it a sterling example of diversity in gaming, and for the other, it makes it an SJW propaganda. For most of us, it doesn't really matter. We aren't going to judge a video game by the inclusion of a trans person or not. That's correct. Eric is 100% correct in this article. Delivers a strong article again. We want to know if the game is fun, if the story is compelling, if it looks good, we like good characters, and whether or not they're trans or Asian or whatever. He's 100% correct in this. They say the only thing that truly matters has nothing to do with review scores or popularity contests or Game of the Year winners or anything like that. The only thing that matters is whether or not you enjoyed playing, period. Maybe Fall Guys is your Game of the Year. Awesome. The only thing that matters to me is I enjoyed playing. Heck, I'd probably give the gunfight mode in Modern Warfare my Game of the Year this year. I do love that, by the way. Even though the end of the year came in 2019 because I played a ton of and loved every second in 2020. That's a little tongue-in-cheek. It's not wrong either. Your Game of the Year in 2020 could be Dark Souls if you wanted it to be. Don't get angry about Game of the Year winner. I don't think The Last of Us 2 deserves the award. I think the game was depressing. Overly gruesome mess with ridiculous revenge story and only decent gameplay. But oh boy, those graphics sure were pretty. But its win doesn't affect me or say anything about me or change how I value myself. I don't care if you don't like the games I like or if you like the games I do. That's very good. A very solid take from Eric, as usual. But again, understand that this is the system that games media, which is Eric is a part of, they're the ones that created this divide and profited off of it. It is the machine that drives clicks to their website with rage bait and hate bait articles about greasy basement dwellers and how men, for whatever absurd reason, don't want women playing video games, which is the most hilarious argument I've ever seen in my life. Literally every friend that I have that is male would absolutely love it if their girlfriend, wife, or female friends played video games with them. It's one of the biggest overblown things that the gaming elite have pushed for years, that there's some imaginary gatekeeping. There isn't. The Last of Us 2 cleans up the Game Awards 2020 despite ongoing hostility in regards to playing as Abby. Again, it's not about playing as Abby, it's about hating Abby. And again, here you have an article pushing back. Complaints about the game have mostly focused on the storyline, with some players criticizing the required time to play as Abby. In fact, some have disliked this component so much that they've resorting to sending terrible things to Laura Bailey. By the way, that's not okay. And then finally, Ian Walker, one of the cringiest writers in Kotaku. I feel like I've read a lot of bad articles from him, but kudos here. Games made under crunch conditions don't deserve Best Direction awards. Now, in my opinion, I don't care about crunch. I know a lot of video game developers and employees watch me, and that may grate you. I care about you, but I don't care about this idea of crunch, if that makes sense. We live in a world of at-will employment, and probably the greatest time ever to be a video game developer. And the idea that crunch affects video game people any different than the average American who has to be forced to work overtime in a steel mill or at McDonald's or at Walmart during holiday season is irrelevant to me. We all crunch. All of us do. It's not a specific thing to video games. But Ian Walker actually pushed back. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but yes, I agree with Kotaku. Last night, The Last of Us Part 2 walked away from the Game Awards with 7 trophies, including Game of the Year, Best Narrative, Best Audio, Best Performance, Best Innovation and Accessibility, Best Action Adventure. Arguments can be made as to whether or not it deserved those or not, but I think it's pretty obvious that no game that require developers to crunch, like The Last of Us Part 2 did, should be given a Best Direction award. The Last of Us Part 2 also somehow won. According to the Game Awards website, Best Direction Award is given for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. This description makes it clear that the responsibility for winning or losing this award rests squarely on the shoulders of the people in charge of leading development. In this case, The Last of Us Part 2 would be director and Naughty Dog co-president now after promotion, Neil Druckmann, who is often credited as the orator behind the game's success. It's no secret that Naughty Dog subjected its workers to unbelievable levels of crunch to get The Last of Us Part 2 out the door, but that's hardly an innovation when it comes to Naughty Dog or game development in general. Over the years, the studio has seen constant employee turnover as developers crunch on games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, burn out and throw in the towels, relentless overtimes, missed weekends, long stretches of time without seeing your family. These things take a toll on even the most passionate artists, and I'd agree with that. Of course, quote, "This can't be something that's continuing over and over for each game because this is unsustainable." One Last of Us Part 2 developer told Kotaku earlier this year. At a certain point, you realize, I can't keep doing this. I'm getting older. I can't stay and work all night. Well, while that may be true for you, and as somebody who is also getting older, I understand that too. That said, unfortunately for you, there's a huge crop of new young kids who can stay all night that are willing to take your job. This is a supply and demand problem, as I've always said. If you didn't have an oversupply of developers, then they wouldn't be able to treat you like this. That's not your fault, but that's the harsh, painful, perhaps grating reality of this. If there were a shortage for game developers, well, they'd have more power in this situation, wouldn't they? That's also excluding the fact that large portions of programming can be outsourced globally, as opposed to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when you had to hire developers that lived in the same city as you. Remote work has expanded the employee pool of available staff, making it even tougher to get fair treatment for video game developers. My only advice would be to specialize. Hades, and tacitly those directing its development at Supergiant, was up for Best Direction Award last night too. It was a great game, just as good as The Last of Us Part 2 and arguably better in some ways. Why didn't it win Game of the Year is a subjective discussion I'm not interested in right now, but Hades deserved to win for Best Direction, at least more so than The Last of Us Part 2, thanks to the studio's meaningful avoidance of crunch culture across its various projects. I'd say that's reasonable. He finishes the article, and I'll actually, I'll leave some here for you to read. It's well written. Supergiant offers its employees unlimited time off, requiring every worker to take at least 20 days for themselves every year. Emails stop being sent out after 5 p.m. on Friday. That's a nice thing. They say everyone keeps an eye on everyone else to make sure no one is getting burnt out. I don't hate The Last of Us Part 2. I don't hate Naughty Dog, nor Neil Druckmann, nor anyone else involved in development. Who has the time? But I will say I'm disappointed that the Game Awards show creator Jeff Keighley, the show's advisory board, and the quote and the unnamed journalists and developers whose opinions are heavily weighted in deciding the winners and losers. I feel like the industry now more than ever is willing to discuss the dangers of crunch culture and solutions to eradicate it, but lavishing praise on the way Last of Us Part 2 was directed feels like a tacit endorsement of crunch. I don't disagree. I don't. And kudos to at least one game developer that appears to be consistent in both admonishing crunch and calling out, taking the risk to call out this game and say it was undeserving of that. I hope that, next year, even though I know it won't change, we'll have a better Game Awards with actual deserving winner. What am I thinking? Hopefully there's an award show run by YouTubers. That would be nice. Or even streamers, or a combination of the two. Don't forget, before you leave, to check out the pinned comment down below to save a massive amount and get your computer and mobile devices protected with private internet access, a very important sponsor for this channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.